Yo, it's your boy TTK and we're back with another video. Today's going to be a pretty special video. We're going to be talking about a format that I've managed to find my way into now, and I've been having a pretty good time playing it. And some of you might know from the title of this video what metagame I'm talking about, but if you guys do not know what metagame I'm talking about, I am talking about the metagame 35 pokes, where only 35 Pokemon are legal at any time. So yeah, it's a pretty fun meta that another user told me to start playing, and I was like, cool. I saw the metagame in April because the metagame changes the 35 Pokemon every month. So I saw the April metagame and I was like, yeah, I can't lie, it's not looking too fun. I saw like some stooly ass mons in it. So I was just like, cool, let me wait till May, see what happens. And I play in May and I'm like, yeah, this is more like it. This is the sort of metagame that I want to be playing. But either way, before we start explaining 35 pokes to all of my, monotype subscribers or my PU subscribers, consider subscribing to the channel, join the kingdom. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I want to thank you guys for all the support on the channel as well. I know, again, I haven't been too consistent, but these exams are killing me, innit? Like, I have 2 more exams next week, so after that the uploads are gonna go crazy, you get me? So yeah, all of that good stuff. So either way, we're gonna start looking at the 35 Pokemon. So you're probably wondering, so 35 Pokemon are 1025, that's roughly 3%. What Pokemon are legal in this month of May 2024? So yeah, I'll show you guys what's legal in the metagame at the moment. So this is what we have: Mousehold, Sableye, Zoroark, you see a Dragloak over here, Sunflora. Like, a lot of these mons, like most of these mons, like you'll probably think like none of these mons are already OU level. Like, I don't think there's a single like OU Pokemon that's actually here. But when OU doesn't even come into play and you really only have 34 other Pokemon to worry about, Tyrion doesn't really like matter. Obviously there's a Wobbuffet there, so it's not going to be doing too much, but or Dragloak as well, since that's not a fully evolved Pokemon. But like comparing yourself to 34 other Pokemon, you kind of have to see where you stack up. And like, even a mon like Grafaiai is able to really do a lot of work here. Cloth as well. Even Kragonor has a decent niche as well. So all of these Pokemon, they might not be OU level, but they're pretty good in this really restricted format of 35 Pokemon. So either way, let's go over the tier right now for May 2024. And obviously here we have, like, I have boxes of all the Pokemon legal. But yeah, let's explain some of the offensive threats. What are the top Pokemon to worry about in the May 2024 metagame? And there's really only 2 Pokemon on the radar. I don't think any other Pokemon comes close to the level of viability these guys have, but we're gonna go over Hawlucha and Alolan Raichu. Now, before I explain these guys, I'll just have to explain some quick ground rules regarding 35 Pokemon. As you can see here, Alolan Raichu is here, Oinkologne female, and like also I think one of them has a form change, Meowstic male here. So you're only allowed to use those forms specifically. You can't use Kanto Raichu, you can't use male Oinkologne, you also can't use female Meowstic. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So either way, let's talk about Hawlucha and Raichu, Alolan Raichu. So why is Hawlucha the best Pokemon in this current metagame, and why do people want this thing gone ASAP? Now, the most important thing I have to mention here before all else is that gems are allowed in this metagame. So what does that mean? You have Flying Gem, Unburdened Acrobatics, oh, wrong item. Flying Gem, Unburdened Acrobatics Hawlucha, and if you look at the speed tiers, Hawlucha is pretty much the fastest Pokemon here. It outspeeds Salazzle by 1 point, and yeah, it's literally the fastest one in the metagame, and it gets even faster when you activate Unburden. So, you Swords Dance up, you Acrobatics is basically some Gen 5 nonsense here with utilizing gems, which are absolutely broken. And, you could tell that gems were forgotten for, like, post-Generation 5, because let's say Hawlucha came out when gems existed, this one probably would have been banned a very long time ago, Like, if gems were in Gen 6, this thing would have gone banned, like, for sure. Like, Acrobatics Brave Bird, and like, the thing is about Acrobatics is that the gem is consumed before the attack goes off. So you have 50% damage coming off of a 110 base power attack, which is also stab boosted. So this is why Hawlucha is pretty much a menace. And like, you have to really consider, looking at the 35 Pokemon we have, No, you know what? I'll just switch tabs when I'm talking about these guys. But yeah, in terms of the Hawlucha checks, you can go through every single row here. And like, there's really only one consistent check for Hawlucha, which is Sableye. Now, why is Sableye a good check for Hawlucha? Well, you have Prankster Will-O-Wisp, so obviously you can burn Hawlucha and stop it from doing a lot of damage. You're immune to one of its stabs, which is fighting. And you also have Encore to lock it into Swords Dance, and you know, it can't really, you can obviously play around Hawlucha being locked into a Swords Dance by going out into literally anything else and killing it. So yeah, Sableye is like the best and only like consistent Hawlucha answer. I mean, I've tried my Milotic, and my Milotic is a decent answer because at least you're bulky enough, assuming it's not like Flying Gem Acro. I don't even know if you guarantee die to that, but you know, like if it's not Flying Gem Acro, because some of them are even running Mirror Herb Swagger to, you know, copy stat changes, and obviously Mirror Herb gets consumed as well. You know, you have Haze, you have Scald, but Scald isn't reliable, so Haze is like pretty much a way out. You also have Dragon Tail, I think, which, to be fair, Haze is generally, I think Haze is generally more useful, but I might have to try out Dragon Tail at some point or another. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Hawlucha checks. Everything else just kind of folds, and yeah, there's not much you can do about it once. Like, if your Sableye is dead or you're building without a Sableye, Hawlucha just 6-0s your team. Like, there's not really much you can do about that. So yeah, that's why Hawlucha is the best mon in the tier. Raichu, on the other hand, may not seem as scary as Hawlucha, you know, slower, 95 special attack, you know, isn't really that crazy, but it's just the fact that if you look at the mons that we have here, there's literally no ground types. Like, there's only one electric immunity in this entire tier, and if you haven't noticed, that's Emolga, because it has the motor drive ability as its hidden ability. So yeah, Raichu's just able to volt switch around, does a lot of damage. Specs is very dangerous because, again, 1 out of 35 Pokemon is an electric immunity, so obviously T-Bolts kind of go crazy. Its speed is also pretty solid as well. There's only a few Pokemon out of the 35 that are able to outspeed Alolan Raichu and actually do threaten it. Like Salazzle, like this thing has decent special bulk, so it's not going to die to like Salazzle unless it's choice specs. So Salazzle outspeeds. You also have Zoroark. Like, Zoroark doesn't outspeed but has priority, which is probably one of Raichu's best answers because Sucker Punch is killing this thing from any HP point. So yeah, like there's only a few Pokemon again that outspeed Alolan Raichu, and yeah, it's a pretty strong Pokemon to handle. Like, I like Emolga, but like Emolga, like literally is just a Raichu switching, and you know, if it's Psy Shock, then you kind of still just get folded as well if it's Life Orb or Choice Specs. So Emolga again is not a consistent check, but at least it stops them from spamming electric moves brainlessly. But yeah, in terms of that, like, in terms of Raichu, other Raichu checks, because obviously this, like, you have to kind of check this Pokemon as well. I've been using Spadef Carbink. Carbink has the highest Spadef stat in the entire tier right now, a whopping 150. So you're not taking too much damage from Raichu, but obviously that base HP stat of 50, I believe, is not helping you out in terms of like tanking moves like repeatedly, because again, like 50 base HP, like that's nothing, you know. Like, even though you have 150 special defense, there's only so much you can do with that HP stat. But yeah, Spadef Carbink has been a pretty fun check I've been using. There's probably some other stuff I could explore as well. I feel like this one has some potential because it actually does have some stats on Cologne Female. Like, if you slap on an Assault Vest, it's just that it does no damage and is easily just the biggest Sableye bait of all time, weak to Hawlucha and like some other issues. But you know, like Raichu's also another hard mon to check. I don't think it's necessarily as ban-worthy as Hawlucha because generally there's like more Raichu checks than Hawlucha checks. Like, Sableye is the only good Hawlucha check. At least you can try things like Spadef Calyrex, Spadef Carbink. You have priority to actually kill Alolan Raichu, whether you want to go Sucker Punch Zoroark or, you know, Shadow Sneak Dust Noir. That thing is going to kill Raichu. You also have things that can also speed tie with it, like Grafaiai, which, you know, doesn't even have to speed tie. You can go Prankster Copycat if you use Gunk Shot on the previous turn, or just risk the speed tie. It is up to you, innit? But yeah, like Raichu just seems easier to check offensively and defensively than Hawlucha can ever do. So yeah, there's just ones like that. And like, yeah, that is like some of the top meta threats as well. I do obviously have to talk about my GOAT Zoroark. I've outplayed so many people so far with disguising Zoroark as like a Mousehold or something, for example. And like, they'll go Sableye because, you know, that's just their normal immunity, and then they just get hit with Dark Pulse for like 80% because I'm running like Life Orb or Choice Specs. And yeah, so Zoroark is a pretty fun Pokemon. Definitely my favorite mons used in the metagame at the moment. It has good mixed stats. Physical Zoroark doesn't look too bad. The only issue is just that, you know, there's easier physical, like, Phys-Def walls that can actually check physical Zoroark. Like, Milotic's not going to be taking too much from, like, Zoroark's damage. Sableye is also taking less. But you do have, like, a boosted... Your Sucker Punch is a lot stronger, but even Special can make it work with a Life Orb and, like, 105 base attack. Like, that's high enough to get the job done. So yeah, Zoroark's main set, at least what I've been running, is like Nasty Plot, Dark Pulse, Sucker, and Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb is for the fairy types, the few that, you know, 35 pokes has given us, and like Carbink takes a decent chunk of damage from +2 and doesn't really do much back unless he's running Dazzling Gleam. Then yeah, Zoroark is probably getting 2-hit cured. But you know, like, you can actually 1v1 Carbink potentially if it's Phys-Def Carbink, you know, because that's somewhat a Lucha answer. But yeah, it's not the best one. Again, Sableye is your best Lucha answer. You know, Sludge Bomb obviously targets Shinotic, which just completely folds whether you're boosted or unboosted. And yeah, Sucker Punch is for getting Alolan Raichu, which is faster than you, Salazzle, which is faster than you, pretty much anything that's faster than you. And like, if they're chips, then you're gonna get the kill with Life Orb or Choice Specs. Obviously I've seen Choice Specs, so it's not too bad. Like, and sometimes I'm just like, do I go Night Days? But again, at the end of the day, flinching is more important than accuracy drops, which isn't even guaranteed, and Night Days can miss. Which is actually insane to me. Why can this move miss? Like, that's why I'm never running Night Days. But Night Days is a pretty cool move. Anyway, I did mention Mousehold as well. I think Mousehold Zoroark is like, outside of running Hawlucha and Raichu, these two are like probably the next most like potent offensive core in the metagame. Because Mousehold can kill anything it wants to, assuming they're not Rocky Helmet or you're hitting into a Sableye. But yeah, Mousehold just does Mousehold things. Tidy Up, Population Bomb, Encore. I was running Bite before, but I'm just like, if you're running Zoroark as a teammate, you don't really need Bite, because Bite's not gonna be doing much to the ghost types anyway. Like, Sableye's neutral to Bite anyway, and will just Will-O-Wisp you. And then Dusknoir's bulky enough, and then, you know, any of its coverage options, it also just burns you as well. So I do think U-Turn's probably the choice there. At least you can keep momentum up if they try and swap into their Sableye or their normal resist, like Claw, for example. Claw is a decent switching into Mousehold here, and then you can just get in your special attacker like Zoroark and just start killing that stuff. So yeah, Mousehold is also another potent offensive one. And then we have Grafaiai as well. I got sent some replays regarding Grafaiai, and this one is a menace. I can't lie, it's a menace. You have Prankster. It also has the broken ability on Burden, but I do think Prankster Copycat has a bit more mileage on it, you get me? So Gunk Shot Copycat, and whether this is knockoff, I would probably run knockoff. You don't really need normal stab. Normal stab would be cool for anything that resists poison, but like, there isn't really much poison resist anyway. There's 0 steel types in the tier. If you noticed, like, with 35 Pokemon, you might just be missing out on some typings. Like, there are no steel types. I was gonna say there's no dragon type, but Drampa is the only dragon type here. So yeah, if you notice any other type that's missing, let me know. I was gonna say water, but we have Mantine and Milotic, so I'm tripping. But yeah, no steel types mean this one can actually go crazy. Knockoff allows you to at least hit ghost types, hit Sableye neutrally as well. But Sableye again is holding the whole tail on its back, because this also checks you know, Copycat Prankster, because you obviously resist poison, and then you can either encore them or just burn them. Or obviously that Sableye's Prankster Will-O-Wisp is so good, and I think all of my teams have Sableye on them so far. I've only built 2 teams, because my second team was just built different. I can't lie, this team went kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I only lost that one game. I was trying to go 10-0 with this team, but I only lost the last game because I was playing around. I don't know, I was playing around with Zoroark and Mousehold. I was getting a bit too, my head was getting a bit too inflated with trying to outplay people with disguising Zoroark as Mousehold, trying baiting their Sableye, but someone caught me lacking on that one, and then my Zoroark was at like 10% HP, and one more attack would have just killed it because of Life Orb. So yeah, definitely have to be more careful with that, but it can definitely catch out some people. Don't get it twisted. This is a potent team, I'm not gonna lie. I do enjoy it, and I submitted it to samples as well. But this was my first team that I built on the 1st of May. We're now on the 3rd, so it's only been 2 days. But I wanted to try like a more stally approach, because when I see a team, when I see a metagame like this where, you know, there's a lot of offensive threats, you know, Mousehold, Zoroark, Salazzle, Raichu, Hawlucha, even things like Dramp and BEM, you know, like these ones can actually hit pretty hard. I was just like, cool, let me try and build like some defensive balance or like almost semi-store sort of build. And like it actually did end up working somewhat. Like maybe this is closer to balance, to be honest, because I have like a Life of Zorak here with SD. I did realize that Nasty Plot was better, but don't get it twisted though, SD will catch out some people. I can't lie, it will catch out some people. You still beat you still beat Sableye regardless because you're a dark type, so it can't burn you. And obviously +2 knockoff on dark neutral Pokemon is going to do a lot of damage. So yeah, the only thing is that you're just hard-walled by Carbink, but we obviously have Carbink answers in like Calyrex, for example. But again, like this team doesn't do too well versus opposing Carbink. Now that I'm thinking about it, you kind of just have to make sure you get the Toxic off, but they're just going to start Toxicing you. But that's where Aromatherapy comes into play with Calyrex, so you can obviously support your team with Cleric stuff. And it makes you miss Aromatherapy and Heal Bell in Generation 9, and you have to wonder why they got rid of that stuff. But yeah, I think I've kind of explained some of the defensive attributes, some of the offensive attributes of this tier. Let's go over some replays just to show you guys how this, you know, metagame is being played right now, and you know, some of my games, because like with that team that went 9-1, I had some really disgusting outplays with Zorak. I can't lie, like I have to show you guys that stuff, innit? Alright, you man, we're back with the replays. So this is against Shifty guy. I think he's like one of the, like, apparently he's like one of the better players in the, you know, 35 pokes community. So I was up against them. I was like, cool, let's see how far this team can go, because again, I was pretty confident in this team. Like I'm pretty sure I was like 8-0 going into 8-0 like with this squad. But like I do have to kind of play with my brain on with this team and versus this matchup as well. Like one false move and Hawlucha will just be sweeping your team, so you always have to play on a tightrope around Hawlucha, which is annoying. I'm not using it because, you know, I'm better than that. You know, like I don't want to use Hawlucha in it. Like I want to use some other mons, because there's obviously some other really like good stuff like Zorak and Mousehold, Salazzle. Like I don't want to use Hawlucha. Like it's definitely a brain dead mon. Like if I was using Hawlucha, I do think I would be getting more wins on average. But like, you know, at least the times where I do find time to be playing this metagame so far, like I don't want to be using Hawlucha, man. Like that one takes no skill at all. But yeah, let's start off this replay. So let's see how it goes. So Raichu versus Mousehold. This was my Zorak after all, but they were scared that I was Mousehold, obviously, and you know that takes 83%. And obviously there's no Dark Resist other than Hawlucha, but that one doesn't want to be switching into Dark Pulse, I'll tell you that. So yeah, Assault Vest Cloth coming out. I saw 55 and I was like, yep, this is Assault Vested. Like, what is that damage? They knocked me off. Carbink is really bulky. So like, even though Cloth has high horsepower, that's fine. And then like we have the most annoying set of all time, Flame Wheel Milotic, because of Marvel skill boosting its defense. It's also good because you can't toxic it, and that's like one of the better ways of dealing with Milotic in this format now. So I'm just like, cool, it's time to hazard stack. I know they have a Drampa which has defog, and that one's really annoying, especially for a hazard stat build like mine, because I like Carbon getting up the spikes, and I do take advantage of the fact that no one's running removal. But when I see a Drampa, I'm like, oh man, I have to deal with removal. But yeah, Carbon being toxic is annoying because like this thing's longevity allows me to at least have a somewhat good switching into Raichu and Drampa as well, because like that one still does a lot of damage with like Hyper Voice, even with no special attack investment. So I go Salazzle here. I was like, they're not going to scold me, they're going to try and toxic me. I'm not trying to get my Milotic toxic, but I decided to sub. I obviously can't beat this 1v1, but at this point I'm just like, how do I beat Milotic? Because I obviously Mousehold population bomb's going to do a decent chunk, or you know, I have to use like Zorak with a Nasty Plot to try and break this guy's team. So at this point I think I probably just went into Mousehold here. Yeah, because I knew they were going to recover, and then, you know, I have to make some plays here because Sableye or Cloth are the obvious answers. But I decided to tidy up here because I can at least get like a boost in damage here as they do go Sableye. I should have bited. I should have bit. I should have bit, not bited. That's bad English. Yeah, say Salazzle comes out. They decide to on-call me, which, oh wait, this is my, so even I'm getting bamboozled. Even I'm getting bamboozled in my own replay, bro. I thought this was Salazzle, and it failed because obviously, yeah, a natural prankster immunity debug. I'm seeing that in the chat, but you guys can only see the replay. But you know, they decided to recover on me. I'm just like, cool, it's time to nasty plot. And I think they were still thinking this was a Salazzle, so they tried to encore me, and I'm like, no, this is the Zoroark. So yeah, Sableye dies, and I'm just like, cool. They could obviously go Hawlucha here, but they decided to go into Milotic, which was interesting to me because I could flinch this and like deal with it, but they decided to haze, and I'm like, cool, that did 50, that did 58, and like I'm just gonna try and get some flinch. But they decided to go into I decided to nasty plot again actually, which was kind of greedy on me, but I was expecting them to recover or something, but they knock off my leftovers, and I'm like, okay buddy, okay. But I go into Mousehold actually now because I knew they were gonna go into Milotic, and they've lost their normal immunity. And like Cloth, if you see how much Population Bomb still does to Cloth, just goes to show how crazy that move is in general, because that's like how strong is it, 300 base power or something. But the U-turn, I decided to stay in because I knew they weren't gonna CC recklessly. So yeah, as you can see, Population Bomb 4, 4.9, 4.8. We skipped turns here, but it's at 53 now because it took like 40%. But yeah, I'm praying for paralysis, low key, so I can get Marvel Skill activated. But here's the Toxic onto the Raichu here, and yeah, Carbink is my response to that. Like again, this one is scary because I have to rely on stuff like Carbink, and like that's obviously like choice specs. It did like 28 to Spadef Carbink, so I was just like, yeah, specs that is very scary. I decided to play around Hawlucha a bit weirdly. I definitely could have like gone Sableye on the SD, and that was a safer play. But they are flying gem at the end of the day. And yeah, so at this point I'm just like, cool, I can go with Milotic because I do live Acro, just like it was a roll. So I decided to haze, and yeah, Hawlucha is neutered. So yeah, combination of Sableye and Milotic can deal with Hawlucha. I decided to Scald, but in this situation you always want to haze. There's no reason for you never not to haze. But yeah, I'm low-key just kind of clicking this game because like I have such a decent advantage. But it's still a pretty hard game because I have to try and break this Assault Vest Cloth with like no physical attackers that can actually beat in 1v1, and also trying to play around the Dramper since my Carbink is dead. So yeah, it's gonna be a pretty close end game here for sure, and like yeah, you kind of have to play around it. So yeah, as you can see, that's still 2-hit KO, max HP Salazzle, really dangerous Pokemon there. They go Cloth, and I was like, cool. I decided to protect. I thought they would Roost. Roost was the play, I think, but I can get the Toxic off on Cloth, and yeah, I can go. Well, everything is Toxic, so that's good for me, but I can go Sableye here and you know, scare out Cloth with a Will-O-Wisp, because if it is burned, then it's not really doing too much to me. Dramper definitely Roost here, but I decided to knock off here because I can lock them into Roost via Encore, and you know, Cloth is getting chipped down. I decided to Encore them like I said. So yeah, they're stuck in you know, they're stuck in Roosting, and then Cloth comes in. I decide to knock off their Assault Vest, which obviously helps out Zoroark immensely because I'm Life Orb, and that's going to do a lot of damage. So they Stone Edge me, doesn't do much. I don't even know if that's like fully attack invested. I feel like that would have done a bit more. Maybe I'm underestimating Cloth's damage. Maybe I'm overestimating Sableye's bulk. Who knows? But yeah, I just continue to knock off because again, I have no switch-ins. It's not like I want my Zoroark to be taking, you know, damage like that. So I do go Zoroark here. No, that's my Mousehold, my bad. Again, like, that confuses me. But either way, they give me Dramper here, which is good. So yeah, they could have definitely gone Cloth here, but it would have gone 2-hit cured, like, post-regenerator anyway, because this move does like 40%. So they go Cloth, and I'm like, cool, there's no reason for me not to, you know, click Pop Bomb here. It's going to do around, like, 50 or, like, slightly less than that if I, like, get, like, good rolls. So yeah. Yep. I love this interaction of 10 hits. Like, as you can see, that does a lot of damage. They decide to Stone Age me, and at this point I'm just like, Zoroark just wins the game anyway, because they can't really swap out and like swap back in, because you know, I can just Dark Pulse that and then Sucker Punch Raichu, you know, because it's choice specs. So yeah, a game like that, pretty close game, to be honest. I think that was like one of my tougher games to play out, because Flame Wheel Milotic was very annoying and stuff like that. But yeah, moving on to the next replay. A lot of these games aren't necessarily too long, but yeah, again, I'm using the same team here because this team is goated as hell. Swap sides, viewpoint, that should be looking okay. Yep, good stuff. So yeah, let's start off this game. I think I did the trick again of Zoroark disguised as Mousehold, and they do the same thing every time. It's like clockwork. But yeah, that did 73, so I was assuming that was like a Spadef Sableye. Don't know why you'd run Spadef in this metagame when Hawlucha is running around rampant, but you know, you do you. But yeah, Mulga just dies, which I wasn't expecting. Maybe it was like fully offensive or something. But they decided to go into Raichu here, not anticipated the Sucker Punch. You need both of those moves to, you know, do bits. But yeah, pretty fun. So yeah, I go Carbink, and you're probably wondering, why the hell am I going Carbink on my Lotic? But I want to stack hazards. As you can see, there's no removal option, or you know, the removal option was deleted. But that did 46, and I was like, that's like special attack invested in my Lotic, and I was like, damn, that did a lot of damage, bro. Like, I forget my Lotic has 100 base special attack, so that thing actually hits kind of hard. But yeah, that was kind of scary, I'll be honest. They flipped turn out, and I was like, Carbink's jump is done, you know, get out the rocks. Probably won't mean much for Salazzle since it's heavy duty boots. Never mind, it wasn't boots. But I go my own Salazzle here, and I'm like, they decided to sludge with. I saw 50 and I was like, okay, that's choice specs. That is fun. That is really fun damage. 50%. I protect here, and I pray that I win the speed tie next turn to at least chip this thing down into like Sucker Punch range, for example. But yeah, I lose the speed tie, and you know, I just die. So at this point, I have no speed control on this team, which is probably one of the issues, but it's not really that deep, to be fair. I have priority on Zoroark anyway, and yeah, Salazzle is also a pretty fast mon in his own right. So I get Marvel Scale boosted, which is kind of good for me because I'm a better Hawlucha check. They go Sableye here, and I'm just like, cool, I'm gonna recover to get some damage off, but they don't recover, which I was surprised about, to be fair. I thought they would recover, but like, that was definitely a turn where I could have like doubled into Sableye, and also a turn like this is where I could have doubled into Sableye. But spamming Toxic is a viable strategy in this format, so at least the main meta, so that was okay. I'm not flip turn, so I can't pivot out, but I just decided to start scolding. Does some decent damage. I can't recover either, but at this point I could definitely just double into Zoroark here, which I do actually end up going into because they go in my Lotic here, and you know, that's max special attack, so I kind of have to respect it. They go Sableye, but I think they got bamboozled again by Dark Pulse. So yeah, Zoroark is my favorite mon to use in the format right now. They're definitely a pretty fun Pokemon. They go Hawlucha, and in terms of Hawlucha, go Sableye immediately. Immediately. Don't let this mon set up at all. Don't let this mon do Flying Gem acrobatics. I decided to knock off whatever item it has. Doesn't really matter. It was Rust Berry, which, if you guys don't know, like cures only burn. It's like Lumberry cures all status condition, but for each individual status condition, Rust Berry is the one that heals burn. So yeah, they go Milotic again, but I'm in a pretty good spot anyway. Like, I don't need my Milotic, as they do you know, flip turn into Hawlucha here, and I was just like, cool, I could either spam Haze, which I probably didn't do, to be fair, because they... No, to be fair, I could have just scored it from that situation anyway, because I'm pretty sure Hawlucha died from that range. So yeah, at this point, Milotic dies, and then I can just go Mouse Hold and just get the kill, because Population 1 is a funny move. It's a funny move. I won't injure you guys with the Population 1 animation. But yeah, hopefully you guys got a bit of a snippet into how 35 pokes is looking this month. I'll see if I can get more videos done, but it's not like there's an actual like sort of like live ladder sort of thing. Is you kind of just have to tag people on the Discord server and like pray someone sees, which most of the time someone tags and someone's always down to play. So I could just do a video where I'm waiting to, you know, find some people to accept my challenge, and then I can upload a video like that. You know, I think that would be perfectly viable. But yeah, thanks for watching the video, you guys, really appreciate it, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.